Welcome to Sex Ed with DB. I'm your host, DB. Let's get into it. Let's talk about solo sex. Masturbation can help reduce stress, improve sleep, and help you figure out what actually feels good for you. One of my go-tos when I'm having me time is Uberlube. It's super smooth, it lasts a long time, and it helps every touch feel better, truly. It's also latex compatible, so it's great with condoms, and it even helps reduce chafing for workouts or thigh rub season. Also, here's a very fun fact. Stylists use it as a hair serum flyaway tamer. Pretty cool. Uberlube is a real multitasker. If you're curious, try it for yourself. Use code SEXEDWITHDB for 10% off at uberlube.com and see why Uberlube is my all-time fave. Okay, real talk. If your vagina feels off, like recurring itchiness or odor, that's your microbiome trying to get your attention. Your vaginal health is all about balance, and when that balance gets disrupted, that's when things like yeast infections or BV can show up. The Happy V prebiotic and probiotic is designed to support a healthy vaginal microbiome and maintain an optimal pH with 7 clinically studied probiotic strains at their clinically effective dosages. If you're ready for the relief you've been looking for, head to happyv.com and use code SEXEDWITHDB for 15% off your first order. That's happyv.com. Happy V as in vagina.com. Hello, and welcome back to Sex Ed with DB. I'm DB, your favorite sex educator and pleasure expert. And today I'm bringing you another conversation with 3-time repeat guest, the incredible Dr. Lexx Brown-James. Dr. Lexx is a sexologist and marriage and family therapist, centering pleasure as a connective tool for shame-free sexuality education and building intimate partner connection. And in this episode, we're talking all about sex after divorce. I can't believe that we have never had an episode like this in our nearly 350 holy hell episodes of Sex Ed with DB. So I'm really grateful that our listeners have been writing in that they've been interested in hearing about this. So thank you. In this episode, we're talking about what is it like seeking sex and intimacy after divorce? It might sound obvious, but it's worth saying that every divorce is different. Every person's relationship to their divorce is different. And that means that not all divorces have to be traumatic. Sometimes divorce can also be liberation and freedom and happiness. And in this conversation, we break down advice for divorcees on what to expect and how to get back into the dating pool if and when you so choose. And remember, stick around at the end of the episode for the pleasure practice of the week. Here I am with Dr. Lexx. Welcome, Dr. Lexx Brown-James. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
You're a third timer on Sex Ed with DB, which is quite rare. I think after 335 episodes, I feel like only my mom, she holds the title for being on 20 times to talk about OBGYN stuff at least. And then only a few other people have been on 3 times. So thank you so much for joining kind of the top echelons of Sex Ed with DB guest society.
Oh my gosh, I love to be in the DB Hall of Fame here. So I'm super excited about that.
And surprisingly, we've had, like I said, almost millions of episodes, 335, which feels like millions. And we have not had an episode about sex and intimacy after divorce. And I feel like as my audience is aging with me, I'm in my early 30s. I feel like folks, get married in their 20s and 30s, and then divorces start happening in 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. And so this is an important topic to tackle about what sex can look like if you're single for the first time in a really long time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really popular conversation that's happening now, especially I'm a little bit older. I'm finally this is going to be my 40th year. So I'm making my way towards 40. I'm super excited about it. But you're exactly right. We see that pendulum swing of Everybody's getting married. Everybody's having babies. Everybody's getting divorced. Oh, okay.
The circle of life. And yeah, I do think that divorce kind of carries generally a little bit of like this stigma, but I think way less so than it used to. I think especially because I remember in an episode that you and I talked about where, grandma couldn't get divorced because she was dependent on grandpa, right? Like grandma couldn't get her own credit card. And so thank God that she has access to divorce now. Yeah. And so for me, it's kind of this like, it's not, necessarily a bad thing if people have access to not be in the kind of partnership legally that they don't want to be in anymore. And there shouldn't be any stigma with that.
Exactly. I think that's so important, right? It's a choice. And so now, just like I love for people to choose their lovers every day, and I hope lovers feel chosen every day, if you're at a point where you're like, I no longer choose this person, or I really need to choose me, or I really need to choose my family, because not all divorce has to be traumatic. It doesn't have to be a Lifetime movie, right? It can be, we have grown apart. We don't want to grow towards the same things anymore. That's untenable for us. We maybe make better parents separate, right? I want to be with someone else. Then we can actually get to divorce and that be okay. We can reasonably talk about it, decide on it, and that can be a decision. So I think it ranges the gamut when we're talking about divorce. It can be tumultuous. It can be hard. It can be sad. It can be heartbreaking. It can also be liberatory and freeing and really a gift from somebody to another.
100%, Dr. Lexx. Okay, so we're going to start with the quick and dirty rapid fire segment where we get to know you through bold questions, honest answers, and real pleasure-centered insight. I'm curious, what do you think might surprise our listeners about sex and intimacy after divorce?
Oh, so some of the research actually says that sex and intimacy after divorce is actually dependent on what your sex and intimacy was like in your marriage. So people are often wondering, they're like, oh, I'm going to get divorced. I'm just going to go out and, relive my 20s or whatever I missed out on. And people are actually slower to do that, find it a little bit harder to do that. But that sexual satisfaction in marriage can really dictate what your sexual satisfaction is like after marriage, because some people are finding that they need to have a re-education of what sex ed looks like and what it looks like now that they're single. There's lots of new things in the world. There's lots of access to new things in the world. And so they're like, whoa, wait, I need to learn some about myself and what my actual libido is. And I'm not having obligatory sex anymore. I need to learn what I like and what I don't like, and that I can tell somebody else that, and they'll actually listen to me. So there's lots of parts that go into that you might have to relearn or unlearn from your previous relationship.
Wow. So it doesn't just get right to it where you're like, I'm so free and I am having sex with whoever I want. It's like you need to kind of relearn yourself and your body and figure out what feels good before you kind of enter that zone with someone else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then giving yourself permission to voice it, right? If you wanted the freakiest, steakiest, sneakiest, whatever, then you're like, oh, I can ask for this out loud. I didn't just keep it a fantasy anymore. What is it like to actualize that? Or if it's like, I really just want something gentle and mindful and maybe even non-penetrative, that's okay. I can ask for that. Yeah, and there's people who want to do that with you. So yes.
Indeed. Yes. Okay. The dating apps, post-divorce, yay or nay?
The frequent saying and the colloquialism that goes around is that the dating pool has pee in it and a wee bit of poo. Okay. So it's not the easiest water.
It's very, very funny.
It's not the easiest waters to traverse, but
right.
I love apps. What I love more is for people to go out and do things that they enjoy, finding their hobbies, finding their passions. Nothing is more attractive than a person in joy. A person having a good time, laughing, cognizant of their surroundings and their beings, they're feeling good about their bodies. Those folks are really, really attractive. And you're going to meet other people that are into your hobbies, that are into your things, that will lift that up and be interested too. So go do stuff you enjoy and find the peoples.
So yes, meeting people in person can be the best thing for folks because they find other people who like their hobbies, and you're able to actually see in the wild, like what your chemistry is without it having to be like super forced or feeling like you're meeting from this like one dimensional space. And in April, ran my first bisexual flirting night in Oakland, and it was so freaking fun. And we're having another one coming up in like a week and a half, which I'm so stoked about. And I just think it's such a great thing to be able to provide people, especially queer people, bi people, with the space to meet other people who have similar identities and interests that they do. And flirting night is so fun. It's just like the best way for people to come together and know that they're intending to like maybe find a boo or maybe like have a date or maybe find a sex partner. And it's just like the coolest thing to realize like, oh, this is a thing that like I can just do in my community.
I love that, especially for queer folks. You know, sometimes we're just like, are you flirting with me? I don't know if this person, do you want to be my friend?
I can't tell.
I don't.
Yeah.
What? Oh, so to have the intentionality there. Oh, that's so perfect. Oh, I'm so glad you did that.
If you're in town, I really hope you can come to the next one.
Me too.
Yes. Okay, one more question for the quick and dirty before we move on to the bulk of our combo. But what is one word that you would use to describe dating after a divorce?
Intentional.
Can you please put a subtitle on that?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Right. So like thinking that you're ending whatever this relationship was, or it has been ended with you, right? And making the choice to seek out companionship, partnership, romance, friendship, or sex, whatever it is an intentional choice. You're intentionally getting back out there, meeting people, being open to whatever relationship anarchy might come your way. And so this means you might also have a family. You might still be recovering from a breakup. You might be rebounding, but you've put some thought, energy, and effort into, oh, I want to do this again with somebody. So it's usually really intentional to be like, okay, yeah, I'm doing this. Even if it catches you off guard, you're still making that choice of like, whoa, this is new. I don't know. Well, okay, let's try it and see. Yeah. So I think it's very intentional when you start dating after divorce.
Totally. And I'm sure like vulnerable, like really vulnerable. If someone has been in a long-term relationship for a decade, 2 decades, and they are finding out who they are outside of that partnership, I'm sure that is incredibly brave and vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Dang. Okay. Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes here, as I like to call it, of talking about, you know, you as a psychologist, you as someone who has seen clients for a very long time in your field, sex therapist. You have so many titles. It's hard to keep up, Dr. Lexx. But I want to ask broadly, how many clients do you see that come to you seeking to reignite their love lives after divorce? What does that look like?
Oh my gosh. So I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, right? That means I am trained specifically in systems of how people move through relational dynamics. I use the term lovers. I'm sometimes called the couples clinician. And so I have clients who sometimes I've seen them in one partnership, they've ended that partnership and they come back. I have clients who maybe come back with their new partners. I've had clients who have broken up and gotten back together while we were together. So post-breakup, post-divorce, people do seek out therapy. They're usually trying to find understanding of what did they do? What could they have done differently? What do they want to be different in the future? So they do come to therapy. I've been seeing a new surgence of men specifically, actually like a lot of cis het men really seeking out wanting partnership. And these are cis het men that are, as I term myself, an elder millennial or some Gen Xers who are really trying to figure out this relationship navigation. Maybe they had a partnership that they thought would have turned into marriage and it didn't. or they've ended a marriage and now they're like, I want to get back out there. I'm trying to figure out how I'm desirable and trying to be the best man I can be for another partner and for myself. So it actually happens a lot where people are seeking some understanding because they want to focus on their desirability and wanting to be a decent partner and also heal from whatever happened in a relationship before.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm very happy to hear that men are going to therapy. To me, I'm just kind of like, that's really important, I feel, for everybody. But I think men in particular who don't necessarily always look inward as to how they have impacted other people and what their, relationship to themselves is and how that can grow. So that's heartening to hear.
Yeah.
Like back to stigma, right? Like historically, getting divorced, being divorced has held some heavy stigma, I would say. And this is like my anecdotal experience in, 30, 40 years ago, more so than today. And definitely still, though, in religious communities and still some cultural communities. And so I'm curious to what degree you think that still exists. How are people talking to you about their divorces and how are they relating that to shame and stigma?
Yeah. So I have to give a disclaimer because I am biased, right? I was raised in the Bible Belt South, and lived a literal stone's throw from a mega church in my neighborhood. So I was raised with, you're supposed to be married, you get married, you stay married, marriage is for life. You have to be equally yoked. And what, God put together, no man can tear asunder, right? We're going to quote Bible verses. So I was raised that way.
We should have put that in the trivia section at the end. I don't have any Bible verse questions.
So absolutely, the shame and stigma does come because what happens, and I think, DB, this is more of our generation, right? This idea that I failed. I am a failure. My first marriage didn't work out. I failed in some way, shape, or form. And then it turns into I'm not good enough. And regardless of gender, regardless of orientation, and unless it was like an abusive relationship, right? So for those folks, that's I escaped. But even then, there's shame and stigma of why did I stay so long? And how come I didn't get out earlier? And how come I didn't see all the red flags? And so there's so much blame pie that everybody likes to eat. And a lot of people like to try and eat the entire pie of responsibility there, which is never healthy for anybody in the situation. Everybody gets to take their piece of the pie. You can own it. Sure. We can talk about what those pieces might be. But I don't want to fail my church. I don't want to fail my family. So this idea, if I break up my family, then I'm bad. Or I'm not a good parent. I didn't put my children's needs first. Religious communities, I didn't put God first. I'm going against the covenant of God. Right? Or what my church or my community. And for some folks, and the reason why I got into this work, we didn't have a lot of role models of people who were married. People would often in my office say they look to the Cosby Show or Family Matters or a celebrity modeling of what an ideal couple might look like. And some of us became those ideal couples. And then what does it mean for us to break up? What does it mean for us to end? Now are we taking hope away from next generations and from all of the other lovers that might look up to us? We're being the longest running lesbian couple in our group of friends. And now we're breaking up. What does that mean? So there is a lot of shame that goes around and a lot of responsibility that lovers tend to bear when they are ending their relationship.
You're totally right in that it's not just the fact that it's religious communities, but it's also like the way in which we relate to our friends. Mm-hmm. That our friends have such a big influence on us. There's this quote, I don't know who it's by, but it's like, you are made up of the 5 people who you spend the most time with, something to that effect, of like who you are is impacted by the people who you love the most. And if I apply that quote to relationship models and thinking about, oh, this is how I see myself in my friend unit when it comes to the way in which me and my partner interact, right? There's a lot that's under that. There's a lot that's not just surface level, but this idea of like, oh, this is who we are to them and vice versa. Yeah. And so it can feel maybe more pressure filled than you anticipated to stay together, to not break up, to not share that news with people who you love, because it's just too hard sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that, and you just said it, right? If we're made up of the 5 closest people, what happens when they're partnered, right? Like we all go on, I don't know, relationship trips together, or what happens if we break up? Do I lose my friendship group? Now do I lose community? And for lots of us, building community has been not easy. It's been hard. And so the idea of losing them because maybe they were my partner's friends or they're my partner's family, do I lose access to these people? Because people are resources. They help us. They support us. We build the community and connections. And in losing this relationship, oftentimes it's not just losing a partner. It's losing so much more than that. And sometimes people are like, I'm not willing to take that risk.
Completely. And like, it's so much more complex than just breaking up. It's like, who broke up with who? Is it mutual? Is it not? Who's heartbroken? It can take people different amounts of time to get through and over their relationships. And so there's a whole element of like heartbreak. I personally think that heartbreak is the 7th circle of hell. I just think there's like barely anything like it, right? Like this is why we have so many songs and poems and, films and everything dedicated to heartbreak, because it's such a powerful emotion. And so like, this episode is really about like sex and intimacy and dating after that, but I want to acknowledge how big that is. I'm curious from your clients, like, what do you think is different about dating now versus dating before some of your clients were married? Like, what's better? What's worse? How do they describe their sex lives before they got married compared to after their divorce and when they're dating new people? How do they compare?
Before, depending on community, some people were very, very chaste. Some people waited for marriage and then actually had some shame when they got married to do some of the sexual acts. They still felt dirty and bad because they've been told that these things were dirty and bad. And you're only allowed to do them once you're married, but nobody told them kind of how to switch that or how to look at it differently when they were married. So we had some of the Madonna whore complexes of, oh my gosh, you're so virginal, but also I want you to be this whore, or now you are being this whore, and that doesn't jive well for me. We also have folks that were trying to appease their lovers. So maybe felt more like an object.
Like people-pleasing activities.
Exactly. Where maybe it wasn't that pleasurable for them, but they did it anyway because that's what pleased their partners. And maybe they never figured out what they really liked, or they were scared to share what they liked, or they weren't sure how to communicate or how it would be received. Like if you really wanted your toes sucked, but you knew that your partner had an aversion to feet, you're like, I'm not going to bring it up with them. They're not going to do it for me. They don't even like feet. Right?
Wrong crowd.
So
Wrong crowd.
some of that negotiation might not have happened. And then also just body insecurities. So that's one of the biggest things I see. We still see and don't talk enough about men who are aging, who are experiencing ED. We're hearing a lot about the menopause conversation. I think when we think of erectile dysfunction, we think of like 70s, like 60s and 70-year-old men. We're not thinking about 35-year-old men whose testosterone is changing, who are getting diagnosed with diabetes, or even finding out early detection around the 40s, around prostate cancers and things like that, and treatment. But erectile dysfunction is happening to younger men. And so we do need to start to have some of that conversation and education around what it looks like and what it actually is. But also bodies are changing. So once you hit that 30 mark and your metabolism is no longer your 20-year-old metabolism, right? Now, after an orgasm, you need a sandwich and some water and to take a nap.
A lot of needs have come up.
Exactly. But we see postmenopausal women, right? They are having some of the best sex of their lives because they have relinquished themselves of everybody else's expectations. They're going to put the fupa on the forehead and be like, there's good stuff up under here. Get to it. I know what I want. So that's
fupa
happening.
On the forehead is so
fupa
good.
On right there. And right, if they die, they die. Tap out. So like we've started to figure some of that out, but we see that with post-divorce too. It's like, I'm accepting my body as it is because the new lovers haven't seen this body transformation. They didn't see this. 19, 20, 25-year-old body that didn't have a single stretch mark or tattoo or scar or whatever. They see this body and they want this body. They want this body in and out of clothes. So they're ready to do it. So we do see a shift in specifically, again, postmenopausal women like wanting more sex and having higher sex libidos.
I'm sure also it's just so person dependent, but we do see these trends, right? Of like older women knowing their bodies a little bit more, like thinking and talking about the way in which we relate to ourselves and feel more comfortable asking for what we want, like later in life. And maybe I wonder if you could speak to like the challenges that some of your clients face when it comes to comfort, like being in a long-term monogamous relationship, or even whatever your relationship structure is, long-term relationship of whatever kind of structure, there's a certain level of comfort that you gain with that person. You know exactly, what they like, how they like it, what toys they like, how to make them come, whatever it is. So could you speak to like a little bit of the reticence that people might have post-divorce when they're kind of chatting up other people, or, on a date with someone new or trying to have sex with someone new? What kind of tips do you have for people who are in that zone?
Oh my gosh, it's adorable. I say it's adorable. I say because it's increasingly awkward.
Yes.
It is uncomfortable to see a 40-year-old person go back to like that 15-year-old. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this. How do I ask a person out? What does that look like? I call myself the best wing woman ever. I am not shy. I'm like, hey, are you single? I'm married and monogamous and very happy, but I have single friends. So if I could take your picture and put it on my Facebook, right, and I will get people with you.
Oh my God, I love it.
So there's a level of awkwardness that we talk about secondhand embarrassment. You know how you just can't watch people. You see people get flush in the face and they feel like their heart is racing and their palms get a little bit sweaty, but also that's part of the excitement.
Yes.
Right? That's part of the excitement of finding out something new, especially when you're grown. When you're grown, you got the post-metabolism weight on you. You got bills to pay in the morning, right? You didn't went to Talbot's or whatever to get this outfit so you could look nice.
That's so funny.
Right? There's a level of like, we both know where we at. What are we trying to do? And it can be some of that radical acceptance of like, I'm accepting that this is where I am. This is my body. This is where it is. Do you accept it too? And would you like to explore it with me? And so I do encourage my clients to say like, okay, what are we radically accepting about this situation? It's going to feel a little weird, right? And also some grief might come up, right? What are we doing with that grief in the moment? Are we going to sit it down? Do we want to share it? Is it being vulnerable? Is this a person safe enough to be vulnerable? This is a coffee date from Tinder. Probably not, right? Or this is the fourth date. Maybe we can start to do
Talbot's. Back to the Talbot's.
We're at Talbot's. Right. This person goes to Talbot's with you. So maybe. And this will forever be a joke between us. And I'm so excited about that.
This is so funny. Oh my God. But I hear what you're saying. Just I love the question of like, because you're so confident because you've been doing this work for so long and just your personality, right? But like a lot of people listening maybe be like, oh, that's really hard for me, right? To like be vulnerable or to ask for what I want. And to that, I say like practice. Practice is the way that you get better at feeling confident. Ooh, if you're feeling like, oh, I can't really find my confidence, I'm a little like scared to get back out there, just like doing the thing and trying and like being curious, asking questions, being honest, like those things go a long way with someone new. And so not being too hard on yourself and really just being as in the moment as you can. And like you said, like, do you want to explore this with me? And just being confident in who you are and where you're at, even if it's hard.
Exactly. Because again, confidence is attractive, and being who you are, figuring out who that is. And sometimes you're going to figure that out with people, and sometimes you're going to do parts of that on your own. But that way of being honest is a way to get to whatever your happy is, because we're not living for anybody else. You're living for yourself here.
Completely. One more question here, because this season and the past few seasons have been really all about pleasure is like the focus of what we're doing here. And I'm wondering, what do you think gives folks the most pleasure when it comes to sex and intimacy after divorce? Are there like newfound joys and experiences that your clients have been able to tap into that they share with you?
So I think of being in my office with folks after the divorce, maybe finding new lovers or the frustration with not finding new lovers. Some of the pleasure comes from the freedom to choose. So again, relinquishing those obligations, relinquishing those expectations and being able to redefine them for themselves, whatever it is, whether it's expectations from their religion or upbringing, expectations from their lover, expectations that they put on themselves in whatever roles. Some of that has been relinquished, and that brings a lot of pleasure, a lot of stress relief. And then there is the excitement of the pursuit. So oh my gosh, I'm talking to this person and I feel like, a teenager. What do I do? What do I say next? Some of it's a little bit of a learning curve. Like, what do these acronyms mean? I have to look this up.
They're like, I got to Google to have an orgasm. What's going on here?
Right. Okay. But then there's also excitement and exploration, because now post-divorce, depending on divorce, for some folks, they might have a little bit of disposable income, so they can do things differently. They can buy the lingerie or explore the toy or explore the sex club. Now they know that sex clubs exist and there can be a dom mommy or a dom daddy or a dom zaddy, and they can get involved with that. So they're able to say, what fantasies do I want to live out? And I can live them out shame-free. And so that's a really, really big piece of really getting to pleasure.
So good. I love the idea of the disposable income. Like, when you got married, you probably realistically had less access to resources than you do now, depending on where you're at in your career, what that looks like for you, what your access to, finances looks like. And just having fun and spending a little bit of your money on yourself does feel really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And giving yourself permission to do so. People are sometimes strapped for cash and don't have lots of disposable income, but with all sorts of sex toy sellers and sales, right? We're finding out all sorts of new things. We have bisexual meetups that people can go to, right? These things are out in the open a bit more. And so now it's oh, wait. Maybe I don't have my kids this weekend. I can go do something different, or I can find out about this kink party, or I can take this class, or I can really try rope for the first time, and I can go to, Home Depot, and get a new rope it's on sale for, $1.75 a yard, whatever. So you're able to go do that and enjoy yourself in the ways that you might not have been able to before.
Meet the new Magic Wand Waterproof, my go-to shower toy. It's the most powerful magic wand ever made, chock full of those famous deep rumbly vibrations, now totally cordless and totally bath-friendly. We're talking about using this in the shower, check. Tub, check. You get 4 intensity levels, 4 vibration patterns, an intuitive control panel, and that soft silicone head with the flexible neck Magic Wand is known for. Long-lasting rechargeable battery, full-size power, and lots of amazing orgasms. The Magic Wand Waterproof. Pleasure just went aquatic.
Well, hello there. It's Amy from the Shameless Sex Podcast, where learning about sex and relationships is anything but boring. We're sex educators, authors, and your new favorite dynamic duo, here to make things fun, spicy, and actually applicable to your everyday life. Think pleasure tips, better communication, and endless ideas for creating the sex life of your dreams. We've got nearly 500 episodes, with a fresh one released every week. World-renowned guests like Dan Savage, Nina Hartley, Dr. Tara, Jessica Drake, and of course the amazing Danielle Bezalel. Plus, we've been featured in Cosmo, Men's Health, and Maxim. So yeah, there's a reason why we are in the top 1% of podcasts. From how to level up your oral skills to mastering dirty talk and building real confidence in the bedroom, we will get you there. So go ahead, search Shameless Sex on your favorite podcast app, hit follow, and get ready to laugh, learn, and feel a lot more shameless.
Okay, quick reality check. Every 25 seconds, someone discovers Lem, Nancy's incredible best-selling lemon-shaped toy. There are over 15,000 reviews with a 4.7 star rating and over 1 million O's delivered. People call it life-changing, powerful, and honestly, it's a little shocking for something that looks this cute. It's quiet, it's easy to use, and those little pulsing air sensations build in a way that hits just right. Try it yourself at hellonancy.com and use code SEXEDWITHDB for 25% off. We're going to transition now to Bedroom Brainiacs, which is a no-stakes quiz where the prize is juicy sex knowledge. Best prize ever. We have a few questions. We'll start with number 1. True or false? Since the 1980s, divorce rates in the U.S. have been rising.
So I know during COVID, it was very there was a lot of talks around people breaking up and divorcing.
Yeah.
And my original thought was true, and so I'm gonna go with false.
So you're just gonna like play the game of like, it's got to be the opposite. You're correct. It's false. They ultimately have been declining since the 1980s, I think, is the key.
Wow.
So in 2024, roughly 40% of first marriages end in divorce. And that's the first time the number has changed from 50% in the 60s and beyond. So it's kind of interesting that, rates have been decreasing, but they are still like quite high. That's still like almost half.
It's still almost half. Yep, it's still almost half.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just think of it again as like it just is a thing that's a part of life's too short. And like, if you want to get divorced, you should do that. And we should also be thinking of our first relationships, to your earlier point of like, we do think of them, sometimes some of us think of them as failures, but it's just like, it was a successful relationship, hopefully. Like that, and that can be celebrated as long as there's nothing egregious, of course. But, divorce parties, like, do it, like exactly. Celebrate the thing because you had love and, better to have loved than, what is it? Better to have loved than lost than not love at all.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly it. You're exactly right. Yep. And then remember, not all divorces are tragic. Some people divorce because they might need resourcing or access to things. They might want to open up for their polycule. Another partner might need to have the benefits of marriage. Like, there's all sorts of reasons why people divorce. And some of that is heartbreaking and some of it is out of necessity.
Completely. All right, you ready for the next question?
Oh, let's try it.
Let's do it. Okay, true or false, gray divorce, which is divorce for folks over 50, has been declining.
That one I think is false. I think older folks are like, we're done.
You're right. Okay, yeah. To the point of you only live once. Folks over 50 are kind of like, how many years do I got? If I'm, in my 60s, 70s, 80s, it's time. We're getting out of here. So adults 50 and older now account for 36% of all U.S. divorces, which is double the share from the 1990s. Kind of cool that older people are like, I'm gonna kind of live my one life exactly how I want it to do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I hope like their kids or grandkids are like encouraging them. Like, you don't have to do this way.
Right. And what's interesting to me, a lot of folks who are older, who I come into contact with, whether it's like family friends or family or whatever, they don't necessarily even get married. They're just like, yep, this is my partner, and we just like want to be partners and we don't want to commingle legally, and that's fine.
Yeah, and we're seeing that, right? Especially with second-time marriages, specifically for women. They're like, I'm not going to live with somebody again. We're not going to cohabitate. I don't want that lifestyle for me anymore. Or if they had kids, my kids are grown. Or I like just being the auntie, and I'm cool with that. I don't want to have all the obligations. When we get together, we get together. When we're not, we're not. It's great.
Love it. Yeah. I really do like to learn from long-term couples who have never and will never live together. I think it's so interesting because we get so many messages that like, you have to build a home together in order to be a couple, and it really goes against the grain. And I really support and love when people do what's best for them and say, fuck everything else.
Right? Absolutely. You get to define it for yourselves. That's the use of free will.
Listen, that's what we can use our free will for, is having our own little cutie space that no one else needs to live in. Okay, the next few are fun celeb questions, which you said before we started recording that you're not really a celebrity person. I feel like you're going to get these, so let's see what happens.
We can try.
Which celebrity has an Internet Hall of Fame photograph allegedly taken moments after she signed her divorce paperwork? Is it A, Jennifer Aniston, B, Jennifer Garner, C, Gwyneth Paltrow, or D, Nicole Kidman? Do any of these ring a bell?
I thought it was going to be J-Lo.
Maybe J-Lo has one too. She's been divorced a few times, so it's possible.
I'm going to go with, okay, I thought it was Jennifer. I'm going to go with Jennifer Aniston. I have no idea.
Really good guess, but there's a really funny meme. It's of Nicole Kidman after she got divorced from Tom Cruise, and she's on the street. And if you haven't, I'm going to send it to you, and we'll put the link in the show notes, people. But Nicole Kidman is like on the street, and she's like, yeah, and she's like super excited that she got a divorce from the weirdo that is Tom Cruise. So
wow,
cool of her. So people use that meme a lot to indicate kind of happy breakup situations.
There we go. All right, I definitely need the meme then.
Okay, I'm going to send you the meme, don't worry. And the next question, I didn't know the answer actually until our amazing producer Will mentioned this and wrote this up. But similarly, which icon wore a headline-making gown after her divorce? A, Mariah Carey, B, Princess Diana, C, Elizabeth Taylor, or D, Kim Kardashian?
Oh my gosh.
This one's kind of hard.
Really? And now all I can think of it like is Aretha Franklin saying beautiful gowns, beautiful gowns. So I'm going to go Mariah Carey.
Okay, again, really good guess. But it's Princess Diana. She wore this dress that is commonly known as the revenge dress. And that we'll also put in the show notes. But essentially, I just love the idea of people wearing outfits after their divorces to be like, look how fucking hot I am. You know,
Absolutely.
If they were the one who was scorned.
Absolutely. Show out. And Princess Di is iconic. So, yes.
Absolutely. Okay, the last one. This is kind of like, I feel like you're going to know this one.
Okay.
Okay, which celebrity divorce brought the term conscious uncoupling into the greater zeitgeist? Is it Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin, Brad Pitt and Angelina, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, or Madonna and Guy Ritchie?
Brad Pitt and Angelina.
Really good guess, but it's Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, maybe you were right. Maybe you don't know celebrity stuff. You know the divorce rates. You know kind of about gray divorce, but Gwyneth, she escaped. Okay, so this is what's funny is the Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin were like, hey, everybody, we just want to let you know that we are indeed conscious uncoupling. And everyone's like, so you're getting a divorce? And they're like, yes, we are. We are consciously uncoupling. So people like to use that phrase now. And it's kind of funny, bringing it back to your one word describe dating after a divorce, intentionality. It is kind of this like rebrand of a divorce.
It definitely was.
What do you think of the term conscious uncoupling?
Well, it's been popularized. Like I've seen people like reach out for conscious uncoupling or look for professionals who help others consciously uncouple. So it's made it into the zeitgeist officially.
Right. And apparently it was created by an author, Catherine Woodward Thomas, in 2009. It was actually the title of her book, and she has coined the term. So we got to give credit where credit is due.
Yep. Cite everybody. Great job.
We got to cite everybody. All right. But hey, you know, celeb stuff is hard. So thank you for participating in Bedroom Brainiacs. You know, you are an incredible therapist, sex therapist, educator, ASEC leader. You have a lot of titles. Maybe we'll leave the celebrity, questionnaire at home next time. But Dr. Lexx, thank you so much for being on the pod. You were so spectacular and smart, and I love talking to you. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, I just love the way she said that. There's so many things that you say where I'm just like, can you be I love my therapist, but can maybe you be my therapist? No, we'll stay colleagues. But where can people find you and see your content and stuff?
Yeah. So I am Lexx, Lexx, sex, sex, doc, DOC, like short for doctor, Lexx Sex Doc across all platforms, which is basically Instagram at this point and also Facebook on occasion. So I post things that I'm doing there. I haven't been much into content generation and that's okay. But if you want to keep up with me, if you want to get my occasional thoughts on stuff, I basically live in stories nowadays. Go ahead and follow there. I'm happy to have you. And I always love being here. You do such amazing work, DB. I love this podcast. I love the questions. I love the insights. And I can't wait for you to have 300 plus more.
Oh my God, God willing. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Lexx. Seriously, we really appreciate it.
Always, always.
And welcome to the Afterglow, where we wind things down, reflect on those big takeaways, and leave you with one juicy thing to try, think about, or explore before next week. Dr. Lexx has been working with couples, lovers, as she says, which I love how she calls people lovers, and people going through divorce for about 2 decades, and I am so glad to have her invaluable thoughts and advice on this episode. If you're a divorcee, don't forget that there is nothing shameful about divorce. You are allowed to take whatever time you need to heal. There's no amount of time that's too short or too long. There's only whatever you feel is the right amount of time for you. Dating after divorce is almost always intentional. We learned that from Dr. Lexx. It's vulnerable, it takes effort, big decisions to open yourself up to dating if you want to. Don't play into the whole horror Madonna fallacy mindset. You are a person, you're allowed to feel desire and seek intimacy. And remember, practice, being vulnerable, asking for what you want, being confident. And with confidence, it really is like a fake it till you make it kind of situation. You are allowed to be walking on kind of these weak Bambi legs with your confidence right now. And it may take time, and there's nothing wrong with that, but practice can help us get there. So here is your pleasure practice, speaking of practice, of the week. This week, go find a song, a movie, a poem, something that you associate with a heartbreak of any kind that you used to enjoy. Then do your best to enjoy it like you're engaging with it for the first time. Maybe kind of try to rewrite that narrative. And if you can't, if that's not working for you, you could totally stop, but make sure that you hold space and allow yourself to feel the grief that might be bubbling up. I know it's kind of weird to request that you take some time to experience grief, but I feel like in our culture, we just don't make enough time and space for that. And we try to pretend like it's not happening, but actually carving out time and space where we might be feeling something that is griefful can really help us move through stuff and rewrite certain narratives that we have around certain songs or certain movies or things that we've experienced in the past. Either way, you can return to something that you used to love by being proud and pleased of yourself for trying and for attempting to rewrite it and kind of have a new story come up. And that is one step towards maybe reclaiming something that could still be bringing you joy, or at least just a way for you to feel grief and think about that and make space for that in our society that doesn't really allow for that. So that is your pleasure practice of the week. I really, really appreciate y'all listening and engaging with this content. I'm feeling very grateful that I get to talk to experts like Dr. Lexx and so many other amazing guests that we have on to talk about hard things that we move through and just one step closer to really engaging with our true selves and finding pleasure that we deserve. Love y'all. Talk to you next week.